In a world where left is up and right is apparently wrong, two souls make sense of it all, or at least have fun trying. Gear up, friends, for Chicken and the Dog.
Welcome to another episode of Chicken and the Dog. I am the dog, and with me, as always, is the guy that sometimes comes up short, the chicken. What up, dog?
You can't put any of that on me.
Well, this is true. Look, man, we got a lot to talk about. It's kind of another crazy week in college football. It happens. It's been happening for the last several weeks now, man. There's been upsets after upsets after upsets, and this weekend didn't disappoint. But before we get in those games, let's go ahead and look at the new AP poll that just dropped today. A little bit changed, not too much. Ohio State still number one, as they should be. Indiana, good gracious, man. Indiana's playing just crazy football. We're going to get to their game in just a little bit and see what they did to poor Nico. But A&M, look, Elko, coach of the year, maybe so.
Could be.
At least in the SEC, right? I mean, I'm just thoroughly impressed with the year two coach, man. Alabama stayed at number 4, Georgia 5, Oregon. I mean, none of that changed. Ole Miss climbed one more spot. They had a great win. No doubt about that. Georgia Tech dropped one. They just flopped. It was no big deal. The biggest movers is Louisville jumped 3, Cincinnati jumped 4, and Tennessee jumped 3. All of them playing really, really good football. And then you had Oklahoma drop 5 with their second loss. And Mizzou, look, man, first and foremost, before we get any more further, I haven't heard anything about their quarterback yet for Mizzou, where he's at, what's going on yet. But as much as we make fun of that team and the evil one that is their coach, man, our hearts and prayers go out to this young man. We hate seeing people go down. But, they dropped 4 spots with that loss to Vandy. Michigan climbed 4 spots. And look, there was 4 teams, man, this week that are new to the top 25, or at least of this week. Houston, the Fighting Prophylactics jumped in there. Utah jumped in, and Memphis climbed its way back into the top 25. After that devastating loss a week or so ago against UAB, they bounced right back, man. And I know you got something you want to talk about that, but all in all, man, an interesting top 25 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to that time of the year where there's not going to be dramatic movement, especially not like there was in the beginning of the season. Some of it, when you drop 5 spots or you drop 4 spots, seems dramatic just because of the stage of the season that we're at. But really, all in all, you're really starting to see this thing take shape and to see which teams are really going to be playoff contenders and which teams are going to be playoff pretenders.
Ooh, listen to you. Those are big words. Well, so look, man, let's jump into the SEC scores. Again, there was just some really, really good football, man. And this is the one that you and I think we got right. I think we were both on the same page with this. Actually, no, I think I was wrong. I think you were right. I was wrong. So look, that doesn't happen that often. Or does it?
More often than you like to admit.
Should we keep score?
No.
Okay.
Friends
I probably don't want to. Look, man. So number 3, Texas A&M had to drive not very far, but to Baton Rouge to take on a number 20 LSU at night, fellas. At night. You and I have shared an experience together being in Baton Rouge at night. That environment is hostile. It is, it's brutal, man. But A&M did what A&M's been doing, man. Crazy. 40. They beat them. They beat LSU 49-25.
Bob, keep screaming because the yelling is working. They solidly thumped the Tigers in the second half. Final score 49-25. Marcel Reed throws for 202 yards and 2 touchdowns in the air, adds another 108 yards on the ground, and 2 more scores as the Aggies absolutely ripped apart the Tigers at home on Saturday night. Brian, start looking for moving boxes, pal, because they're coming for you. But more importantly, the big call that I made in this game is if Texas A&M can go to Baton Rouge and win at night and go 8-0, you're looking at a 10-win season. Aggies, keep your eye out. Keep your eye out. You got 2 more to make the chicken right.
That's right. And this is for you, Bob. Look, man, this next game, God, you and I were together to watch this game. And look, it didn't disappoint. You were right. It didn't disappoint as far as being an entertaining game. How about that? But we had the privilege of getting to hang out with Senior Chief for a little while, which was fantastic to see him and watch this game together. But a number 4 Alabama took on a South Carolina, man. They were 3-4 going in this game. I had Carolina winning this game. And look, it was proven to look like I was going to be right. Carolina went up by 8 points, man, in the fourth quarter. It was looking good. Unfortunately, the students, I think, got a little ahead of themselves and was getting ready to rush the field. But Alabama found a way to climb back, man, and beat them 29-22. A great win for DeBoer. Shane, keep your head up, buddy. I had someone tell me today at church, Shane Beamer's next to get fired. I'm like, no, he's not. I don't see that happening at all. That was a good Alabama team, but tough loss for the Spurs up, man.
It was, but listen, there's something that a team has to do, which is get into a rhythm. And South Carolina's got to get into a rhythm of winning. They've got to get accustomed to putting W's up on the schedule instead of L's. And when you're not in that rhythm yet, and a proven team like Alabama comes to town, it's hard to just that quickly jump on that train. And that's what happened Saturday. Alabama is accustomed to finding ways to win. Ty Simpson did not have his best day. 253 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns, yes. However, he did not have a lot of touch on his deep balls. In fact, I think just about everything that he threw 20 yards or more downfield ended up incomplete somehow or another. He did not look sharp. South Carolina defensively was holding Alabama, which isn't the greatest of feats this year. I get that. But they were holding Alabama on the running game. Alabama was getting stuffed up the middle. No real worries there. The defense, even though they were completely exhausted, was keeping the Gamecocks in this game. The Gamecocks offensive line played the best game that they have played all year. So now we can start pointing fingers at the offensive play calling, friends. I know that that's been something that I've backed off of because it's hard to tell how good the play calls are when the offensive line is a wide open garage door. They didn't play that way this past week, but the play calling was a little questionable in some of these cases. Again, you held tight. What I think that Carolina can take from this game on a positive note is that you played well enough to hang for 4 complete quarters, not just into the fourth and then Alabama turned it on and destroyed you. No. You went all the way down to the end of the game with the number 4 team in the country, step for step, hash mark for hash mark. Carolina's got some positive things to look forward to going on in this, and it's not like the schedule eases up. You still have A&M. You still have Ole Miss to play. You still have rival Clemson on the schedule. Big games still ahead of you. But the way that you played Saturday, you just gave yourself a shot in those games.
I think so. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And I love that you brought up the offensive line because that was a beautiful thing to see, man. They gave Sellers some time. Not every play. There was a lot of time. There was quite a bit that he was scrambling, but I think if you have to look at Carolina and where they've improved, I think you have to say that offensive line improved over previous games. Uh, my hat goes off to Carolina's defense, man. They played great football. I think Dylan Stewart had another fantastic game. He's doing at Carolina what he's been doing all season long. I think the threat of a Dylan Stewart had Ty Simpson off because Ty Simpson was off. That he did not look like the same Ty Simpson that you've been seeing after that Florida State loss. I mean, that Florida State, but that was his first game. Got to give him that. But after that, man, he looked really good, looked more comfortable in the pocket. And I mean, just he's looked really good. He did not against that Carolina's defense. And you mentioned it too. I think where Alabama, if Alabama's got any holes that they need to fill, that they need to fix this thing before they make it, for the playoffs, right? Because I think we can all agree Carolina's out of the playoff talk by now. They're done. But Alabama is, and I mean, you got 3 or 4 teams, man, that are leading this charge into the playoffs. Alabama's at the top of the list, right? But Alabama's got to fix its run game. If they want to push past some of these really good teams, man, they're going to have to fix their run game. And Jam Miller, he has glimpses of greatness, but he is not consistent. Alabama's got to get that worked out.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of this Alabama team this year is that they're not heavily dependent on the running game. Now, you have to have one, especially if you want to go deep into the playoffs, especially if you want to challenge for that national title. You've got to have some semblance of a running attack, but they're not heavily dependent. It's not all leveraged on the running game like we saw more so in the Saban era at Alabama. It's more heavy on the pass, the quick hitters from Alabama. They do need to get that deep ball downfield from Ty Simpson worked out. But I think Alabama still has a really good shot at going deep into the playoffs. I don't think Alabama came into this one sleeping, looking past South Carolina. But definitely Carolina gave them enough of a scare that it should shore some things up for the Crimson Tide going forward.
Yeah, I think so. And look, you're going to hear me say this now. And I haven't said, I've been very critical of DeBoer. I didn't think he was going to last at Carolina. I thought he was going to, yeah, that's what I meant, at Bama. I thought he was going to take this team to a 9-3, 8-4, 7-5 season. And this could be a year that they're looking somewhere else, right? I'm pulling back from that. I think he's the right person at Alabama right now. And I think he's there to stay. I think he has the shot, and the way it's looking, he's going to have a really good, long career at the University of Alabama. That's my take on DeBoer. This next game, man, what a bounce back, man. I mean, and that's what a lot of the buzz around college football and the SEC is how well this team bounced back from a really hard-fought game in Athens the week prior. But a number 8 Ole Miss took on a number 13 Oklahoma in Norman, Oklahoma. Again, guys, an environment that is tough. It's not easy to play in. And Ole Miss came out on top, man, beat them 34-26. What a great game. Chambliss is doing what he's been doing, man. So good job, guys.
Yeah, Chambliss has a good afternoon, 315 yards to the air and a touchdown. Kawan Lacey really helps lead the charge for the Rebels with 78 yards on the ground and 2 scores. The defense for Ole Miss helps keep them in. They hold John Mateer to 223 yards through the air and only 1 score. This thing goes back and forth all day long. It's a great game, and the Rebs come out on top. just beating up on the Sooners when it's all said and done. Great game, Kiffin. Great game, Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah. This next game, we kind of mentioned this a few minutes ago, man, but a number 15, Mizzou, had to take a drive to Nashville to take on a number 10 Vanderbilt, anchor down. Look, man, Vanderbilt, they're doing great. They won, man, 17-10. It wasn't any kind of, lights out football, high offense that you've seen it Vandy's done, but they pulled out a win, man. Way to go, Clark Lee. I don't know if he'll leave Vanderbilt, but these bigger programs that's bigger than Vandy, a Penn State, a Florida, potentially LSU. I mean, he could be looked at. I would consider this guy. I think he's a great coach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into that. The one thing that sticks out to me in this one, you went through the top 25, the updated rankings earlier at the beginning of the show, is how Missouri takes a little bit of a tumble after this loss to Vandy. Vanderbilt was ranked higher than Missouri going into this game. Vanderbilt was playing this game in Nashville, and yet Missouri takes a tumble when they lose 17-10 to a top 10 team. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, again, that's the stage of the year that we're at, where you're going to see some weird things happen in the rankings. And Missouri, they only lose by a touchdown after their starting quarterback goes down. We mentioned that again earlier as well. Vanderbilt has to fight hard to hold on to victory at home in this ball game. It's really the third quarter that separates these two, as Vanderbilt's able to put a touchdown on the board and Missouri is not. Other than that, they're going step for step. This is a knockdown, drag-out SEC football game with a capital F. Bring your pads, bring your helmet. These guys went blow for blow, and Pavia and the Commodores come out on top. Anchor down.
Anchor down, man. I like Vandy's shot at making it to the playoffs, man. I really do. And what a huge success that would be for that program to be able to make it into a playoffs, man. I think that'd be great.
Man, they're halfway through their SEC schedule, and you cannot say with any definitive measure that they're out of contention for the SEC championship matchup. They're in the hunt. Vanderbilt is in the hunt.
That's insane, man. That's crazy. Look, here's the next game, man. A number 17 Tennessee took a drive to Lexington, Kentucky, and delivered Kentucky another loss, man. Beat them 56-34. I'm sure the over and under was not over 90 points. I'm just saying.
Listen, this was a crazy game. Cutter Boley throws 5 touchdown passes as a freshman for the Kentucky Wildcats, 330 yards through the air, and they still got waxed by the Tennessee Volunteers. Aguiar throws for 396 yards and 3 touchdowns of his own. I mean, what a day to be a Vol. You put up those kind of numbers and you beat the Wildcats at their own house 56-34 on a career performance, a record-breaking performance by a Kentucky quarterback. You got something special, my friend. The defense for Tennessee apparently didn't even take the bus. They didn't need to. They were going to outscore these guys anyway. Wow. What a game for the Volunteer fans.
Yeah, I mean, it was. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, man, at church this morning, and he's a big Tennessee guy. And, I told him, I said, man, I told you they were going to win. I knew they were. And he's like, yeah, and he kind of brushed it off a little bit. But one of the things that he mentioned, I think it's important, is, the days of a quarterback coming into a program and sticking around for 3 or 4 years and that being the norm is kind of over, right? And I said, well, I believe that's the case for a lot of teams, but I do think there's still going to be those teams like an Alabama, like a Georgia, like an Ohio State, that's probably going to get those true commits that just want to play at that school. They just want to play. Some of these other programs, Ole Miss, I think Lane Kiffin's probably done it better than anyone. They're going to find that quarterback that comes in, as a junior or something like that, be able to play a year or two like Jackson Dart did and find great success in doing that. I think you're going to see that a lot. I mean, you're starting to really see that in college football. So I thought that was a pretty interesting take. The next game, man, was a number 22 Texas went to Starkville, Mississippi, and took on Mississippi State. I thought Mississippi State was going to win that game and deliver Texas another blow. And look, man, that's the way it was looking. It really was until the fourth quarter. And I'll let you get into that. But look, Texas ended up winning that game in overtime and beat Mississippi State Bulldogs 45-38.
We were talking about it as we were seeing the scores go across the ticker. And listen, Texas fans, Manning fans, whoever is getting ready to be offended, just hear me out, okay?
Smokey
because of the way that this season has gone, and trying almost like my defense of the Gamecocks, right? We've been rooting for Arch. Just, man, come on, just get over that hump. Be everything that we were told that you were going to be. And it wasn't happening. And so when Mississippi State was atop the leaderboard over Texas, we were starting to cheer more and more for Starkville. We were starting to hear Christopher Walken in our ears screaming, "Give me more cowbell. I got to have more cowbell."
Yeah.
And Arch Manning puts up 346 yards, 3 touchdowns. He gets hurt. He comes up a little gimpy there in overtime. He gets his team to overtime against the Mississippi State Bulldogs in Starkville. He goes against my Uncle Kenny, and he finds a way to get into overtime so that Matthew Caldwell can float one over the middle to a tight end at the back of the end zone for the game-winning score. Man, Arch, you can't help me out, pal. You can't get up when I need you to get up, and you can't stay down when I need you to stay down. This was a tough loss for the Bulldogs. I look for them to bounce back from this one. They just played their hearts out. Everything right now for the Bulldogs is house money, right? Like they've already done so much better than they did last year. They're winless right now in the conference, but you still got 4 more games to play in the SEC. The Egg Bowl is always unpredictable. We'll see. But the Bulldogs, much improved Mississippi State Bulldogs, took the Texas Longhorns to overtime.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, they got 4 wins this season. I mean, I think they still have a shot at Go Bowling, man. And that would be a huge success for them. And don't forget, man, their quarterback, Shapen, he had a great game, man. He threw for 381 yards and 4 touchdowns, man. That's fantastic. And I don't think the whole college football world would disagree with us, a very good Texas defense. Texas has a great defense. There's no doubt about it. And
he threw for 4 touchdowns, whereas Carson Beck against this same defense would have thrown for at least 8 interceptions.
That's correct. That's right. Poor Beck. Not really. Anyway, man, I mean, it was a great win for Texas. It was a great showing out for Arch Manning. That's kind of what we expected to see from this young man. Do I believe that this young man has arrived? No. I think he's got some work to do, but I think he may have given the Texas Longhorns and their fan base something to look forward to next year. Like, this kid can do it. And I think, and you and I both agree, he will do it. He will be good and relevant. He's just working through it all right now. This next game, man, against 2 unranked teams, Auburn had to go to Arkansas. and take on the Razorbacks. And since our buddy Sam Pittman is no longer there, I think we find ourselves pulling for Auburn, pulling for Hugh Freeze. I know that Hugh Freeze has done a lot of good things down in Auburn, not only for that football program, but also for the kingdom. We talked about that in the past. This man has started, or he's helped, been part of a revival that has happened on that campus, right? And I think he was actually baptizing some of the football players. I mean, what a great story. And I think that started a lot of revivals, things that's been happening at some of these other college campuses. Good job. So I personally kind of quietly pull for Hugh Freeze in times. But look, he did what he needed to do, man, and beat Arkansas 33-24. Great win for Auburn.
Great win for Auburn. We talked about this going in. I had Auburn winning this game because it was a must win for the Tigers, and they did just that. They were able to find a way to come out on top. They squeaked by 33-24. But the biggest thing here for Auburn is the way that the defense plays. You're going up against Taylon Green, who we had at the beginning of the season before the wheels fell off for the Razorbacks. We had Taylon Green as a dark horse Heisman candidate because he's got that kind of talent. But Auburn comes into this ball game, holds Taylon Green to 14 of 22 passing, 268 yards, 1 touchdown, but they pick him off 3 times. Huge game for the Tiger defense. That's what propels them in this ball game. 33-24. Go Tigers. Go War Eagle.
Yeah, the other thing that happened in this game is, and look, I think this shows the courage of a coach. You go into the transfer portal, you pick out the top rated quarterback that's in there, which was Jackson Arnold at the time, man. Everybody wanted Jackson Arnold. Hugh Freeze was able to land this kid. It looked like everything was going to come together because of this. And what happened? He benches him and puts in Ashton Daniels, and he did what he had to do, man. I think that's a sign of a good coach, knowing when to say it's time for a change. So good job, Hugh Freeze. Okay, now let's get into the top 25. And the first game I want to talk about, man, is, and I mentioned this just a little bit ago in the show, man, when we were going to the AP poll, and that there was a team that climbed back up. Your Memphis Tigers, man, last week, I think it was last week, had a very upsetting loss against UAB. We didn't see it happening. I don't think anybody saw it happening, but it happened. And they bounced back, and man, they had to go up against South Florida. Now, I talked about this in the show. This was going to be, like I said, this was the battle of the team, the group of 5 that's gonna be a guaranteed playoff spot, right? And I think these two are the leading candidates. So in number 18, South Florida had to go to Memphis and take on Memphis, and Memphis held their own in their home and beat them 34-31. Great job, Memphis.
Yeah, an upset of sorts. As we said, Memphis was in the top 25, fell out, and South Florida has been flirting around with the bottom tier of the top 25 this year. But on paper, 18-ranked South Florida, non-ranked Memphis Tigers. So it is an upset, but folks, let's get straight to the heart of the matter. Your Gooch of the Week, Brendan Lewis. My friends, this is only the 3rd time all year. Now, it's been close. 3rd time all year that he has eclipsed 200 yards passing, and he did it with 107 to spare. 307 yards through the air for Brendan Lewis, 2 touchdowns. He throws on another 35 yards on the ground and leads the Tigers of Memphis to victory over the South Florida Bulls and over up-and-coming coach Alex Golish on everybody's radar right now for all these open positions. And the Tigers say, why not us? Nobody's paying attention to us. Well, folks, after a 34-31 victory, everybody's talking about the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah, man. What a great award for this young man. One that he should be very proud of, that he should carry and to at his chest on his chest, man. I mean, it's a very prestigious award to win, if you ask me.
But don't come back.
Don't come back. Don't come back. Be a dog next week, but don't be a gooch. Anyway, so great win, Memphis Tigers. Great award, Lewis. I think that's great. Now this next game, a fighting Nico. I'm gonna leave you UCLA Bruins. Went to Indiana, man, and took on a number 2 Indiana. And oh my goodness, is this guy for real? And my gut says yes. But Indiana beat them 56-6. Mendoza, ma.
Mendoza says, let's take that back to side A. Shiny, happy people is great and everything, but I really love the sound and the deep, soulful tones of Everybody Hurts. And he reminded Nico of that pain. 168 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. Mendoza doesn't even have to have one of his best games to absolutely destroy the Bruins' hopes of salvaging their season. UCLA falls to 3-5. It's gonna be a rough ride home.
Yeah, man. And I think what's really cool about Indiana and maybe their future is I don't know how much longer Mendoza has, but because they got up so far ahead, they said, let's put in our number 2 quarterback. And who is that? A guy by the name of Alberto. That's right, my friends, Mendoza. So they are going to have the Mendoza family. I mean, look, we might as well get some grandkids to start playing there. I don't know, but my Lord, man. And look, he does well too. I mean, he wasn't in very long, but 4 for 7, 45 yards. He threw a pick. That's okay. That's all right. But look, man, you got some Mendoza boys in there. He did run for a touchdown, Alberto. So good job, Mendoza. Indiana, the Fighting Mendozas. Let's see. The next game, Oregon handled Wisconsin. We thought that would happen 21-7. This game right here, I thought could have been, and I said, I didn't say Georgia Tech was going to lose. I just said watch out for Syracuse because they always tend to play a team better than they should sometimes a game, and that I was wrong on this one. They did not. Georgia Tech, man, number 7 Georgia Tech hosted Syracuse. Apparently they got lost in the Atlanta traffic. It affected them because Georgia Tech beat them 41-16. My friends, Georgia Tech is 8-0.
8-0. 5-0 in the ACC, not challenging for the conference title, leading the pack right now. Nobody wants to play the Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech. These guys are setting the tone. And we talked a little bit ago about a few minutes ago about the Gooch of the week. My friends, this is what happens when you look inward and you figure out where can you improve, what can you do better, and maybe you find a resource like Breaking Chains Fitness. Breaking Chains Fitness, bc-fit.net is their email address. Breaking Chains Fitness out of Harlem, Georgia. Breaking Chains for Kingdom Gains. My friends, Haynes King did some evaluations over the past few years, found his inner strength. He throws for 304 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Orangemen on Saturday, and he wasn't done yet. 12 carries, 91 yards, and 2 more scores as the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets absolutely dismantled the Syracuse Orange men. I don't know what they're calling themselves these days, but it wasn't enough. They needed to call for help because Atlanta was way more than they were ready for.
Yeah, man. Haynes King, man, he has been playing great football all season long. And I'll even say this. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of prop this up a little bit, Haynes. So I think you need to be listening to us and have this in the back of your mind. It's not quite as prestigious as the Heisman. But if you keep playing like this, there is a chance you could be Dog of the Year.
You're running a quick race amongst a very few people right now, Haynes. I don't see the wheels falling off with this kid. He plays banged up. He plays hurt. I don't know that there is an E on his fuel tank. I think he just keeps going. He's like the Energizer Bunny out there. I don't know. Timex and the Energizer Bunny had a kid. It's going to look like Haynes King. He never runs out of power. He takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Haynes is my guy.
Look, man, I'm going to be honest with you. That last game of the season, Thanksgiving weekend, I ain't looking forward to it. I really am not, man, because this kid is good. And if there's one thing that he has proved is most defenses can't stop him. They can't. Man, this kid's playing great. Look, man, great award. Good job, Haynes King. Man, we really love watching you. You are very fun to watch. All right. So after a disappointing loss, Miami had to host a number 9. Miami had to host Stanford. We thought Miami would bounce back. We thought Carson Beck would bounce back after throwing 17 interceptions in one game. And he did, man. He ended up beating Stanford 42-7. Great job.
Yeah, it really goes back to what he's best at, which is just playing solid football. He only throws for 189 yards and 1 touchdown through the air, but he's 21 of 28. So he's really managing the game very, very well. Miami just absolutely rolls in this one, 42-7. Stanford gets a touchdown in the first quarter and says, yeah, we're pretty well done. That's all we got. And Miami said, well, okay, well, hold on, watch this. This is how you play football in Miami Heat, and they absolutely destroyed Stanford.
Yeah, man, 21 points in the third quarter. That was huge, man. And then 14 in the fourth. It's hard to compete with that. All right, man. So look, this next game, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I was right I was wrong and you were right. So let me make sure I get that correct. It doesn't happen that often. Or maybe it does. I don't know. We'll have to go back.
Every time on this show.
So look, at number 11, BYU had to go to Iowa and take on Iowa State. I thought Iowa State was going to be too much. I thought it was going to be the game that delivered BYU, the Fighting Mormons, their first loss. And I was wrong. BYU held their own 41-27.
There's so much history. When you really go back and look at it, and I'm not happy with this, okay? I'm not reveling in this. But when you go back and you look at BYU Cougar football, there's a lot of history there. Jim McMahon, Steve Young, Steve Sarkisian.
Oh.
Coming out of there. Lavelle, the home of Lavelle Edwards. Forget Brigham Young. We're not worried about him. He never coached a down of football. But the BYU Cougars know how to play football in the great state of Mormon. I mean, Utah. And they came out and handled their business. They are now 8-0, 5-0 in the Big 12. They are contenders. They're not pretending anything. They are contending for the playoffs, and everybody needs to be paying attention or they'll take it away from you in the playoffs and make their way to the championship round. My friends, I said it here. Look out for BYU. Don't look past them because the Cougars are for real.
That's right, man. And look, I believe it's next week. Yes, it's next week after the Georgia. It's always after that Georgia, and it's not based on Georgia. It's just when Georgia plays Florida every year. I think it's that first week in November, the official rankings come out. And one of the things that I look forward to not only seeing that, but also look forward to, and you guys should look forward, we'll start looking more at where the standings are in each conference and how that's starting to shape out. We choose not to do it the first half of the season because it's kind of irrelevant at this point. but the things are really starting to shape out in these conferences. There's still a lot of football to be played, but man, is there some close things going on. So we'll start diving into that in the weeks to come for sure. Look, number 14, Texas Tech they hosted Oklahoma State, the Fighting Ex-Gundies, and Texas Tech, man, my gosh, they're for real too, man. 42-0. They are rolling, Jack.
And we told you, Red Raider fan, in our last show that it wasn't anything against you. We also told you in the forecast show that you were going to bounce back, and you did in a big way. 42 to goose egg. Okay, relax. Your season is still intact. You're still doing big things.
Ruby, we're still for you, buddy.
There you go, Rube. Exhale, big guy. Don't wait anymore. Just go ahead and exhale.
That's right. Look, man, this next game, I love it, man. Number 16, Virginia, 7, and they are now 7-1, my friend. Now, listen to this. They are 4-0 in the ACC. 4-0. They had to travel to Durham to take on North Carolina and the Fighting Belichicks, or maybe soon ex-Belichicks. They lost that game, man. Virginia beat them 17-16 in overtime. Great win, Virginia.
Yeah, I love what Tony Elliott is doing up there in Virginia. And again, you mentioned it, that they go down there to Chapel Hill, take on Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels, and show them what for. It goes all the way to overtime, but the Cavaliers come out on top, just like I told you they would. Go Virginia.
Yeah, this next game, man, is another ACC game team. Actually, it was teams matchup, man. And look, this Louisville team is 6-1. They are 3-1 in the ACC as well. There's quite a bit of these one-loss teams in these conferences, man. So some things are starting to really shake up. But they had to take on Boston College, a very struggling Boston College, and they handled business 38-24. Great job, the Cardinals.
Yeah, good 2-score win by number 19 Louisville as they continue to climb their way up the charts. And see what they can do this season. They're off to a good start. Let's see how well they can finish, especially in the ACC. I think for Louisville, it's going to take an ACC championship to get into the playoffs. I don't know that the ACC is going to have that many spots outside of their championship winner there, but we'll see what Louisville has to say about all that.
They may get 2. It may be the 2 teams that make it to that game. You're right. I don't see it being 3.
Yeah,
Not with his little...
And right now, it's getting pretty crowded at the top of the ACC.
It is. I think that, I mean, the SEC is just absolutely too loaded with talent and, I mean, fantastic teams for them not to have 4 or 5 spots. And I just think that's what's going to happen. A number 21 Cincinnati had to take on a hosted Baylor. And Baylor's one of those fun, one of those goofy teams, man, that could come out of nowhere. I actually thought Baylor was going to win that game, and I was wrong again. And Cincinnati beat them 41-20.
As I told you they would. The Bearcats come out by a lot on top at home, taking care of Baylor 41-20. Great game all around. I mean, Robertson for Baylor throws for 137 yards and 2 scores, but it's just nowhere near enough. Cincinnati wins big.
Yeah, look, this next game, man, we both got this one wrong. Number 2, good Lord, I'll be able to speak one of these days. Number 23, Illinois, the Fighting Curtises, had to travel to Washington and take on a really good Washington team. There's no doubt about that. And Washington beat them, man, 42-25. The Fighting Curtises went down, probably ended their season really of being able to potentially get a playoff spot. I don't see that this year out of them.
Yeah, I think that not only did it end the playoff spot, it certainly ended, I think, any hopes of Big Ten contention there to win that conference. Obviously, Ohio State is in the driver's seat. You've also got Oregon. You've got Michigan that's playing great football right now. You've got Indiana that's
Oh
playing
my.
great football right now. So very crowded at the top there. This loss really kind of pushes the Illini out. I thought that Illinois was going to come out on top in this one. But again, crowded at the top of the Big Ten, and Washington's making their statement for right now. It's not a clear statement, but it's still a hey, we're still here too. 6-2, 3-2 in the conference right now, but they win convincingly at home, 42-25.
Talk about a crowded conference champion right now. Championship. Who's going to go? If you look at the Big 12, this next game, Houston had to go to Arizona State, take on number 24 Arizona State, and Houston won, man, beat them 24-16. They are now 4-1 in the conference, where Arizona State is 3-2. It's crowded, man, for that second spot in some of these conferences.
Yeah, it really is. And the thing about this is when we talk about the comparisons to college football and NFL, I think that this is where it separates the two. In that you're halfway through the season in the NFL, and if you're looking at this kind of record of 5-3, you're still thinking that your team's got a really great shot at making the playoffs for the Super Bowl in the NFL. If your team's sitting at 5-3 and 3-2 in the conference in college football, your team's probably not making the playoffs, pal. It's gonna could still be a good year. You might go bowling, but you ain't coming home with anything real shiny and real special. And that's what happened to Arizona State on Saturday. Houston just puts the nail in that coffin for those guys and stays alive, 7-1, 4-1 in the Big 12 conference right now, making their claim that they belong atop the Big 12.
See, Ruby, we did talk bad about Arizona State. It wasn't one-sided. It was just the feeling that we had that week. This last game I want to talk about, man, we talk about, and you mentioned them a minute ago, this crowded, and every conference has it. The SEC is not alone, man. I mean, the SEC isn't excluded from this. They are crowded at the top. Who's going to be those top two teams to go to the conference championship? Michigan, guys, this team is for real. The number 25 Michigan takes on the Michigan State, and they handle business, man. Beat them 31-20. Michigan is now 6-2 overall and 4-1 in the Big Ten. Ohio State and Day, get ready, buddy. These guys are coming for you again.
They're coming for you. They've got their sights set on you. I'm not blown away by their offense, but they didn't need a whole lot from their offense on Saturday. 31-20, Michigan beating up on younger brother Michigan State. Bryce Underwood is 8 of 17, which isn't really all that impressive, for 86 yards. So he doesn't even break the century mark. No touchdown passes, no interceptions, yay you, but he's got a quarterback rating of 38.5 after this contest. He only rushes for 26 yards. Now, that's where he does find the end zone one time, but friends and neighbors, Justice Haynes, 152 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then Jordan Marshall, the other running back for Michigan, 110 yards and another score as the Wolverines handle the Spartans on Saturday, letting them know who really is the state school in Michigan.
That's right. Look, man, and look, Underwood didn't have to do it because he had the backs to pull it through. But his stats and that QB rating, it's not a good look.
Not a good look. Unimpressive, my friend. Unimpressive.
No. So look, guys, that is your week number 9, and it's kind of sad to think there's only 5 weeks of college football regular season left before we start getting into conference championships, then bowl games and playoffs. And so we still got a lot of time, but the regular season is coming. It's rearing its ugly head to come to an end. But man, it's not disappointing. This season is not disappointing. College football is so different today than it was 2 or 3 years ago. There's just so many relevant teams, and it's so great to watch, man. I mean, I'm I'm a Georgia fan. Georgia has been relevant for quite some time under Kirby Smart, man. For the last 6 or 7, 8 years, Georgia has been in the talks, and we played great football. But so is the Ohio State, so is the Alabamas, and so is, maybe Michigan here or Notre Dame or whatever. But there's so many teams out there that is relevant now, that are knocking on the door of saying, we can beat you, Alabama, we can beat you, Georgia, we can beat you, Ohio State. You got teams like Georgia Tech. They can beat any one of those teams the way that they're playing. Indiana is come around. They're saying, we could do this too. And it's really cool to watch. It's very fun. It's very competitive. I love it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As you said, the sad part, Rube, I want you to pay attention, take notes. Dog's going to do it too. We have reached the zenith of the season. That means peak. We're only going down from here. Okay. We've reached our zenith of this college football season. We're on the decline now with the number of games left. Certainly not the excitement in those games. This season is not for the faint of heart. There are teams that last year were the team that nobody wanted to play, that this year, yeah, we wouldn't mind playing those guys. In fact, we'd rather play them than maybe the team that isn't the team that you want to play this year.
Yeah.
Things have flipped around a little bit. It's exciting, as always, in college football. Watch for an exciting finish this season. And who knows, maybe your team will be talked about in the coming weeks for pretenders versus contenders.
Ooh. Hey, and I'm really thankful for you and your understanding that the guy that's on the other end needed an explanation of what you meant by that. So I really appreciate that. It was very helpful. I'm just saying. Look, guys, man, love us, like us, man, follow us on all the social medias, man. We'd love to hear from you. We love the comments. We had some, but we knew we were going to have a full show, so we didn't pull those in this time. Maybe on the next show, depends on how long-winded Uncle Kenny might be. Never know with that guy.
Never know.
Never know. But keep following us, guys. We're growing, and we love it so much. Give us any suggestions on how we could be better. Or maybe it's hard to get much better than the chicken. But the dog can always use some improvements for sure. You got anything?
Jesus won, and I'm all crowed out.
Guys, love you. Deuces.